we've got one more toast, and that's coming from Danny Naff, Julie's younger brother.
Good evening. Oh, where's Julie? Oh, there she is. Julie, I've been waiting 32 years to do this. I want to start off by saying that Julie and I had a fairly competitive childhood together. It's pretty safe to say. If you ever get a chance to look up in the 1982 edition of the Encyclopedia Britannica, look up the term sibling rivalry, and you'll see a picture of Julie with a hockey stick chasing me through the backyards of Blueberry Hill. Now, I remember that day. I allegedly provoked her. And as I ran all the way to the end of Blueberry Hill Drive, I looked back and she's still behind me. I'm thinking, what tenacity? And I'm like, so I started running up Route 31 all the way to the Charlton Town line, which is about a half a mile. And I looked back and I said, you know what? Enough with this. So I turned around and let her whack me in the shin with the stick. And everything was good in the world again. Then we walked all the way home and talked about what we wanted for Christmas that year. We were so competitive, it even came down to the dog. We had this little poodle, Peppy, right? Julie would walk up to me on any given day, could be any day. She'd walk up and say, Peppy loves me more than you. I'm like, no way. Well, Julie and I would get on the couch and we'd both be calling Peppy, come here, come here, come in. Every time, Peppy would go right to Julie. About 2 years ago, Julie told me what she had done was she always went and grabbed a little milk bone and put it in her hand. So the dog would always go to her. You know, I'm this guy as a child. I'm like, this dog doesn't like me. So that was kind of like how Julie and I grew up. My mother, though, she tried. She recognized the sibling rivalries, and you know, she finally had to do something about it. So one day she said, "You two, stop calling me at work, telling me what's going wrong in the house. What I want you two to do is write a good note, a compliment about each other, and when I come home, you can read it to me." We weren't having it, but we did it. So I think mine was like, I wrote the first one. I'm like, Mom, I went through the whole day without Julie kicking me in the shins once. And Mom's like, that's a start. Julie's like, I think Danny did his homework, but I'm not too sure. So, Julie did help me with my homework, by the way. She did help me with algebra. As long as I didn't get a better grade than her, she would help me. But, I mean, looking back at the best times of my childhood would have to be the holidays with Julie and I. I can remember, you know, right before Christmas, it would be like a snowstorm, and Julie and I would be like, you know, 8 and 10 years old, listening in front of the radio, listening to WTAG for school cancellations. And every time, you know, when Spencer and David Party Regional School would be canceled, we'd be jumping up and down, getting our, you know, snowshoes on, ready to go sledding. As we're heading out the door, my father must have been listening to the same station because he would call before we headed out, and you know, we pick up the phone. He's like, I want you and your sister to grab 2 shovels and shovel the driveway. He was good. He knew. I mean, he was always a step ahead of us. But you know, Christmas was, me and Julie, like, we were so close. We're a little closer than Jimmy was. You know, I remember one Christmas, Julie and I opened up all the presents, and like, Julie just reassured me that I was getting coal in my stocking every year, and it just wasn't the case. But like one time, Julie and I are looking up at the Christmas tree, and you know, hoping that St. Nick would soon appear, and he did. And Julie and I opened up our video games, and Julie got this video game, Donkey Kong, and I got Pac-Man, and we just thought, like, that was the best thing since sliced bread. And Jimmy would be listening to his new headphones, and like, we'd be like, Jimmy, 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 Jimmy. And of course, he was too cool. He'd take his headphones off. He's like, I'm listening to The Who. Come back later. And so me and Julie are like, what? We're like, okay, Jim Bob, Jim Slob. And we'd say that over and over and over and over again until he finally played with us. Just want to say, we had an amazing Christmas last Christmas. Julie and Jen drove up from Virginia to spend it with us. And, you know, I was so proud to see Julie and Jen so happy together. You know, you guys are doing exactly what you want in life. And sometimes the things you do and you don't do are whether you have fear or no fear. And fear dictates a lot of what we do. And when you and Jen drove off the day after Christmas last year, me and Mom were in the driveway crying because we just know you two were so happy together, you know? And I just want to say, my sister, Julie, you know, I always thought I had a lot of best friends growing up. And I had some, you know, but there were times where, you know, they weren't there for me. My sister always was. So that's why I love her so much. So I want to say thank you. And I wish you too well. And I love you. So for that, and as host, the last toast of the evening, I promise, to Julie and Jen, a wonderful, happy life together.